If you need time completely alone after social interaction, not just prefer it, but genuinely need it to function, while others seem energized by constant company, you're not antisocial, broken, or missing out. Psychology reveals you have a fundamentally different energy system where solitude isn't isolation. It's how your nervous system recovers, processes, and restores the resources that social interaction depletes. And understanding this transforms how you see yourself and design your life. Let's talk about something that makes you feel guilty and selfish. After spending time with people, even people you love, even activities you enjoyed, you desperately need to be completely alone. Not just quiet time in the same room with others. Not just low-key activities. Complete solitude. Door closed. No one talking to you. No social demands. No one needing anything from you. Hours or even days of being completely by yourself to feel like yourself again. Your friends and family don't understand this. They want to keep spending time together. They think your need for alone time means you don't care about them, that you're withdrawing, that something's wrong. They call you antisocial, hermit, recluse. They make you feel broken for needing what you need. But here's what psychology and neuroscience reveal. You're not antisocial or damaged. You have an energy system where social interaction depletes resources that can only be restored through solitude. Your need for alone time isn't preference or personality quirk. It's a biological requirement as real as the need for sleep. And ignoring this need leads to burnout, anxiety, and complete depletion. Research from personality psychology shows that people vary dramatically in how social interaction affects their energy. The most well-known framework is introversion versus extroversion. Extroverts gain energy from social interaction. Being around people charges their batteries. The more they socialize, the more energized they feel. Introverts lose energy from social interaction. Being around people drains their batteries. The more they socialize, the more depleted they become. This isn't about liking or disliking people. It's about the physiological effect that social engagement has on your nervous system. Studies show this difference is neurologically based, present from birth, and stable throughout life. You didn't choose to be this way. You were born with a nervous system that requires solitude to function optimally. Here's the specific neuroscience behind why social interaction drains you. Brain imaging studies show that introverts and extroverts have different baseline levels of cortical arousal. Essentially, how stimulated your brain is at rest. Introverts have higher baseline arousal. Your brain is already running at higher RPMs when you're alone and quiet. Social interaction adds stimulation. For extroverts with low baseline arousal, this additional stimulation brings them up to optimal functioning. They feel good, energized, engaged. For you, with already high baseline arousal, social interaction pushes you into overstimulation territory. Your nervous system becomes overwhelmed. You feel drained, scattered, exhausted. You need solitude to bring your arousal level back down to your optimal zone. But let's talk about the specific ways social interaction depletes your resources. First, social performance demands. Even casual interaction requires you to be on, to manage how you come across, to regulate your behavior and expressions. This uses executive function resources. Second, sensory stimulation. People bring noise, movement, visual input, smells, touch. Your brain processes all this input, which is cognitively expensive. Third, emotional regulation. You're managing your own emotions while also reading and responding to others' emotions. This is exhausting. Fourth, attention demands. Conversation requires sustained focus and engagement. You can't zone out or let your mind wander. Fifth, decision-making. Social situations involve constant micro-decisions about what to say, when to speak, how to respond. All of these together create massive resource depletion. Here's the alone time restoration mechanism. When you're alone, all those demands disappear. You don't have to perform socially. You can just be. You don't have to process others' sensory input. Your environment is under your control. You don't have to regulate emotions for others. You can feel whatever you feel. You don't have to maintain conversational attention. Your mind can wander freely. You don't have to make social decisions. You're the only one there. Research shows that this release from social demands allows your nervous system to downshift, your cortical arousal to decrease, and your cognitive resources to restore. Solitude isn't doing nothing. It's active recovery and restoration. Research on the default mode network reveals why alone time is so restorative. The default mode network is the brain system that activates when you're not focused on external tasks, when you're daydreaming, reflecting, processing experiences, integrating information. Studies show that the default mode network is crucial for self-awareness, emotional processing, memory consolidation, and creativity. But it can't activate fully when you're engaged in social interaction. Social demands keep you in task-focused mode. Alone time allows your default mode network to activate fully. You're not just resting, you're processing life, integrating experiences, understanding yourself, and restoring psychological coherence that lets address the guilt that destroys you. People act like your need for alone time is selfish or rejecting. They say things like, if you really cared about me, you want to spend more time together. But this fundamentally misunderstands your energy system. Research shows that introverts often care deeply about their relationships. They just need breaks between connection to maintain the quality of that connection. You're not avoiding people because you don't care. You're protecting your capacity to be present and engaged when you are together. Your alone time is what allows you to show up as your best self in relationships. Here's the relationship conflict this creates. If you're in a relationship with an extrovert, your different energy needs create constant tension. They want togetherness and interpret your need for space as rejection. You need alone time, and their constant presence feels suffocating. Research shows that introvert-extrovert couples need to understand these differences aren't personal, they're neurological. Your need for alone time isn't about them. It's about you managing your energy system. Their need for togetherness isn't clinginess, it's how they recharge. Understanding and accommodating both needs is crucial for relationship health. Research on burnout reveals what happens when you don't get enough alone time. When introverts are forced into constant social engagement without adequate recovery time, they experience what researchers call introvert hangover or social burnout. Symptoms include exhaustion, irritability, inability to concentrate, physical fatigue, anxiety, and sometimes depression. Studies show that this isn't melodrama. It's nervous system collapse from chronic overstimulation without recovery. Your need for alone time isn't optional self-care. It's mandatory maintenance to prevent breakdown. Let's talk about how much alone time you actually need. This varies by person and by how much social interaction you've had. Some introverts need an hour alone after social events. Others need a full day or more. Some introverts can handle social interaction several times a week. Others need several days alone between social engagements. Research shows that the more deeply introverted you are, the more alone time you need and the longer it takes to recover from social depletion. There's no universal standard. You need to know your own requirements and honor them. Here's the practical challenge. Modern life often doesn't accommodate your need for alone time. Work demands constant collaboration and meetings. Family expects constant availability and presence. Friends want frequent socializing. Society labels alone time as lonely, sad, or antisocial. Research shows that introverts often feel pressured to live like extroverts, leading to chronic depletion. You need to actively protect your alone time against cultural expectations that don't recognize it as legitimate need. Studies on solitude versus loneliness reveal an important distinction. Loneliness is lack of desired connection. You want social contact, but don't have it. This is painful and unhealthy. Solitude is chosen alone time. You want to be alone and are. This is restorative and healthy. Research shows that people who regularly engage in chosen solitude have better mental health, stronger sense of self, and more creativity than people who avoid being alone. Your alone time isn't loneliness. It's essential solitude that contributes to your well-being.